Velie is with us, people. If you just tuned in, this is Keren Velie. She runs a online news source. She is being harassed by San Luis Obispo authorities. You might even say the sheriff deputies are in on it, a county supervisor. And this has got to have a chilling effect on what you get to know is happening in your community when a county supervisor in San Luis Obispo County, which is just north of us, Santa Maria is about San Luis Obispo County, this has got to have a chilling effect on, and this is why you should be interested. This is why you should pay attention. Because like that beginning we showed you, most of you never heard of the Atlanta, Georgia, in Cobb County, I believe it was, trial. Obama was put on trial. And a letter was read from Obama's attorney basically saying, you know, up yours. We're not going to show up for the trial because you wouldn't dismiss it. I mean, think about what they're saying. You called to court, you said, well, I asked you to dismiss this case and you didn't do it, so we're not coming. We're not going to play in your courtroom because you didn't do what we ordered you to do, dismiss this thing. Well, is the president above the law? I don't think so. Is a county supervisor of San Luis Obispo above the law? But the ultimate justice is when you take a petition and recall a county supervisor or a county judge or a senior deputy sheriff who is abusing their authority. And I know these people in San Luis Obispo. I know these child protective service workers. I've dealt with several cases down there. They routinely abuse their authority, just like they do right here in Santa Barbara County. And I'm saying that not because of anything Keren Velie here said. I've already done other cases. If you've been watching this show for 10 years, you know about that. So she didn't prep me on this. We didn't rehearse anything, did we?
No, not at all.
I mean, she just came in the studio. We sat down. I came in a little bit after she did, and we started to roll. And this is the night I do my live show, Friday night. So Keren Velie, now it's gone. They're picking on your daughter's relationship with her children. Do I understand that right?
Yeah, so I don't know.
5 months separated.
I think that the amount of time for the offense, for having a dirty house, for dust bunnies and dirty dishes, is rather unusual. One of the things that did happen, though, S.L.O, the agency that I was writing about, and we also were writing about CPS. We were investigating CPS when this happened. S.L.O deemed my daughter mentally ill in the court documents. And because of that, the caseworker said, we have to keep them and have you go to mental health counseling. No one from S.L.O ever met my daughter. They deemed her mentally ill by looking at her paperwork.
Wow. No psychologist interview, no psychiatrist interview?
None. And this is one of the things that we've been looking into, because one of the things that we've been covering about S.L.O is that homeless are told that they're not capable of handling their own money. So S.L.O gets the Family Ties or another agency to control their money, and they deem them incompetent. And many people have said, I've never seen a doctor. I was deemed incompetent. And you are supposed to see a doctor to be deemed mentally ill or incompetent, not a social worker or a pencil pusher looking at your paperwork and saying, well, she's mentally ill. I'm deeming her bipolar. And even if you are bipolar, you're not supposed to take children. But nationwide, this is not a problem just in our county. Nationwide, CPS is being looked at. In Arizona, they abolished, the governor just said, take it down and let's rebuild it from scratch. They have 2 complaints. First, that they don't take the really seriously abused children, the sexual abuse. They don't get into it. They don't want to get into it. And that they're focusing on cases of what they call neglect and then taking children from families. It is become a time when for every child adopted out, they get more money. And since some acts were passed, they're adopting more and more children out. Most counties are doubling their numbers every few years. So the county gets quite a bit of money. In San Luis Obispo County, CPS is over $12 million a year is their budget. They have 100 and some employees. And of that, about 2/3 comes from the state, which is then funded from the federal government, which the numbers, for example, adopting a child out can be from 1 to 7,000 bonus for
Right.
adopting the child out.
Right.
And then if you adopt them out, you can also get money every month because then they send money to the adoptive parents. The laws have changed. And they now pay the
Wow, I
adoptive
didn't know
parents
that.
throughout the time.
They
And
pay the adoptive parents
they
to
pay
adopt
them.
the kids.
And they pay them a monthly check until the child's 18, and the county gets a cut of that. So
Oh,
there is
this is
big
new.
financial interest.
I
And
didn't know this.
I'll tell you 2 cases I've been looking at. One is a young man. He is, I think, in his late 20s. And he had dated a girl that ended up having some mental health issues. They broke up. She ended up having a baby after they broke up. His name wasn't on the birth certificate. She had some type of issue. CPS came in and took the baby. And he said, the child's mine. I want the baby. And they said, do a blood test. He did the blood test. Then they said, we've determined we can't give you the child. You've never been a parent before. He doesn't have any, no drug or alcohol problems or anything like that.
Right.
But he had to prove that he could be a parent. Gorgeous little blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. So he goes and he takes all these classes, and then they want him to get judged on how he's parenting. And the foster mother has already made a plea of adoption. She judges him. He's allowed to see his baby 1 hour a week. Now that I think it's up to 2. 1 hour a week with her judging, and she says he's not being a good parent. This has been going on for
When you
6
say
months.
her judging, who's the her?
The foster mother that wants to adopt,
She gets to judge.
she gets to judge. They made her in charge, and she says he's not a good parent, but he's what they call him is a non-offending parent, and because the child's in the system, he's got to go through all the hoops as if he had done something wrong. So that's one case. Another case that I found, there was a woman 2 or 3 nights ago in S.L.O. She is a young woman that had been on drugs and had been off for some time and takes a very small amount of methadone. At the clinic, they told her while she breastfeeds her baby, do not get off the methadone. Just stay on it. It's better for the baby if you took it through your pregnancy to stay on it because very little gets. She gets a call and someone tells her you need to go by for a well child check at the police department. She shows up, they drive her to a doctor who tapes a bag for a urine sample, and they take the baby because there is methadone in the baby's urine because the mother's on methadone, not drugs, she's on methadone. I called the methadone clinic today. They told me they've had multiple children taken from their parents over the last few years and that the county is aware that it's not legal. There was a woman that...
But they don't care because there's no accountability.
Well, they were sued. What happened was one woman, they took her first child. She had a second child. She's still on methadone. When they grabbed that child, she had the money to pay a lawyer and really fight. It was found that they can't take it because you're breastfeeding with methadone. The county lost.
Wow.
But that case is over, and they're still taking children because their mothers are on methadone.
Can't these mothers get off methadone? And there's some point in time, methadone is a stepping stone drug to get off of something harder,
And
correct?
I think I don't know the whole history of methadone, but I do know that you really don't want someone seeking drugs when they're pregnant. And they often say, this is not a good time to go through withdrawals.
Yeah, well, of
So
course. Yeah, I get that. I know a father who had pretty much raised 5 children and had 2 children by a second woman, and they didn't trust him to take those 2 kids back here to California when he's already raising 5 children. So I think it doesn't matter whether you've never been a parent before. They just look for some excuse to steal. I call it kidnapping, official government kidnapping. That's what it is. And I think the purpose is clear. They want to destroy the family. Because if you can destroy the family relationships and make them all angry and bitter, you can more easily get them to do like Hannah Montana, who's now Siley Myers, twerking on the stage in front of millions as if this is something to look up to. I can't believe Will Smith with his kids was right down in the front row looking up at that. He should have grabbed his kids and covered their eyes and taken them out of there. I had a lot of respect to Will Smith until I saw that. I didn't even watch that. I don't watch corporate TV. Somebody sent me the clip on YouTube, Karen. But that's what they're doing. They're just deliberately destroying the relationship between father and child, mother and child. And if they can destroy it between both of them, even better. That was Wilbur Gaston's case up in Oregon, where this one woman, Wilbur was 64 or 63, retired. He slept with this gal, I think her name was Sharon. She had 4 other kids, each kid by a different father.
Incoming call from 170.
We got a call coming in. Anyway, they took his child away. Hello? Hello, Barbara. Hold on. I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Okay. Do you copy her voice there in the studio? You got her? Okay. Barbara, we're here with Keren Velie, who's from Cal Coast News, and she's got an issue. Hang loose, because what you've got to say, I think, is very important. Can you hear us, Barbara?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Keren, this guy Wilbur up in Oregon is still alive. He's like in his late 80s now. He fathered a child. They said to him, you can't have this child until you take parenting classes. He had already raised a whole family. All his kids were grown. But he was retired, so he took all the parenting classes, and when he finished, they still wouldn't give him the child. They kept her, and he paid all the back child support. That's when they came knocking on his door, was to get the child support. And that's the first time he knew he even had a child. And then Sharon, the mother of 5 kids, each one by a different father, they said she's gone loony, and they took all the kids away. And he said, I want my daughter. He got her briefly for 18 months. And he said the first few months she was screaming every night because of what she'd experienced in foster care. And then after he had his little girl for about 6 months, she calmed down. She was turning 6.5. He started school. And one school day, they sent a cop based on a lie told by another child who overheard the parents say, that must be a dirty old man. And he wasn't. He actually played Santa Claus at all the schools because he had a long white beard and he looked like Santa Claus. Anyway, he had a long battle. He married a woman named Pamela Messier, I think her was name, before she became Gaston, and she started helping him. And he won every court battle, every single one. So they went after Pamela, and eventually what happened is a judge said, I want that woman dead because she's now won a federal case against us, a default, for $500 million. And she had
I
named...
remember reading the case.
You know that case, Barbara?
I do.
Barbara...
I researched these cases like the Mary Beth Sorter case, or all precedent cases that the judiciary tends to ignore.
Right, they do. And what happened, Pamela was having Wilbur go out in his old age and physically serve notice. We're attaching your salary, judge. We're attaching your house. We're collecting on our judgment. And one judge got really irritated, and he said to someone, I want Pamela dead.
Absolutely.
A few days or a week or two later, a helicopter flew over the shed. Pamela Gaston, now her name was Gaston. I think they had a common law marriage, but I'm not sure. Anyway, she had moved in with Wilbur, and they were living in Wilbur's sister's acreage out in the woods in a little tiny trailer shack about 1/4 the size of this studio, about the size of 2 or 3, maybe 2 Cadillacs. And the helicopter flew over, and I spoke to people in the neighborhood who saw the helicopter, who literally saw it fly over and dump the poison. 10 days later, in December of 2004, Pamela died in the hospital from poisoning. I called the coroner who signed the death certificate, of which I have a copy. I had to take Wilbur down to a county building because he wouldn't let me have the copy. It's supposed to be public information, but they wouldn't give it to me. Wilbur went in and got it and gave me an original copy of the death certificate. And it says, probable cause of death, probable heart attack. Now, this is a woman in her 40s. This is a woman has artwork in L.A. County Art Museum and also in the Louvre in Paris. This is a woman that did artwork on St. Angel's, Oregon on exterior buildings. Am I right, Barbara?
You are right. And what the problem is that whistleblower retaliation is extremely dangerous in this government that we have.